Hello and welcome to the Fingal Business Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Local Enterprise Office Fingal, one of 31 local enterprise offices around the country. Local Enterprise Office Fingal helps local business through a wide range of practical initiatives and programs. The LEO is your first stop shop for business supports. So whether you're just starting out or an established business, Local Enterprise Office Fingal is here to help. The aim of the Fingal Business Podcast is to share quality information for small business owner managers to enable you to be more effective in running a successful enterprise. My name is Sharon Rossignuolo, and I'll be chatting to industry experts so that you can get the best advice to help you to succeed in your business. In this episode, I'm thrilled to be joined by Donnacha Neary, founder of Sonica, which counts Hubspot, Guinness Storehouse and 3 Arena as just some of their high-profile clients. In this episode, Donnacha shares his experience of starting a business and what it takes to succeed. Donnacha, you are very welcome to the Fingal Business Podcast.
My pleasure. Delighted to be asked and delighted to be here.
Great. So I have to say, a different industry that we're talking about today. Sonica is a commercial interior fit-out company. So why commercial interior fit-out? What brought you to this industry?
What brought me to this industry? A very circuitous route, Sharon. I was quite academic in school, loved the sciences, mathematics, science. And when I was coming out of my leaving cert and going into college, biotechnology was the big thing. And I loved the process side of things, how science informed me and allowed me to explain processes, how the science and the mathematics allowed me to understand processes itself. Biotechnology was the big buzzword at the time. It wasn't construction. So I went into biotechnology. It was the manipulation of biological projects or products to produce an end result. It informed my thinking, and I'm an engineer. I'm an end, middle and start, middle and end kind of guy. And so when I went into Dublin City University on our third year in DCU, we had to do what was called an intro program, which we went into industry. I went into the Jones Group on the process side, doing water and wastewater treatment plants. And I was stationed in Leixlip, doing the process analysis, the chemical and the biological analysis of the drinking water. So Dublin's drinking water from Leixlip itself. That was my first exposure to real heavy construction. The Leixlip plant was undergoing a massive infrastructural upgrade at the time, and I was hooked. I just absolutely fell in love with construction, the facets, the multifacets of not only the personalities, but the trades on site, the speed at which they were working, the ability to transfer information from a printed drawing or a computer screen to an actual activity on site. I just thought it was phenomenal. And I as I said, I was hooked on it there and then. So finished my degree in 4th year with DCU after my industrial training. Requested Jones take me back into the contracts department to go in and work on the construction side of things. And I've been a construction guy ever since. So 4 years with Jones's, phenomenal organization, learned a ton of really good process, contractual awareness, big infrastructural projects. But 4 or 5 years post-graduation, got the itch, as you do. And a large American company called Structure Tone had just set up, and we're doing a lot of data center work at the time, around 2000, 2001. And I went in to join Structure Tone, whose core business was interior fit out, but we were doing a lot of the heavy engineering on the data center. And now I'm back doing interior fit out. So from the last certainly 20 years, I've been in interiors and an interiors guy and involved in the interiors industry. I love it. It's very niche, very unique, but it's hugely rewarding, hugely enjoyable, very fast paced. But as I said, 20 years, 21 years later, I'm still here and loving it as much as day one.
It sounds like you're somebody who's able to translate small detail into bigger picture and make it happen.
It's a skill. I think the ability to look at requirements and I mean, fit out and construction, it's a people business at the end of it. We are creating workspaces and work environments for end user clients. So taking the minutiae of that information and creating end products for them is, to me, a scientific process that's informed by the relationship you have with your client. But yeah, no, it's something that I would pride myself on. The attention to detail, especially in fit out. Fit out is a different animal than just traditional construction. The attention to detail, the speed at which it works, and very, very large sums of money are getting spent in very short amounts of time on very fast programs. So it's breakneck.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to when you started out, Donnacha, what were the initial foundation blocks that you laid down to get started on your journey towards that state-of-the-art commercial fit-out?
I think I always wanted to work for myself. I would always pride myself on being self-aware of knowing what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. So coming through the ranks and working with Joneses and Structured Tone and companies like that, I always surrounded myself with people that I knew I was learning from and taking information from. The candlelight to start the business, evolved into a roaring fire, but I knew I just needed to upskill myself in certain areas on business acumen, sales, accounting side of things. So when I was satisfied that I had enough and I was learning from the people around me and I knew I was ready, I wrote the plan for the new business in 2012. I rewrote the plan and then I rewrote it again and I sold it to myself. And I was convinced that once I could sell it to myself, I could sell it to anyone. So armed with the plan, and it's the dusty old picture of the old girlfriend. It's still in the top drawer of the desk here. And I refer back to it often and regular just to see how far we've come since 2012, 2013. But the plan was the starting point. It had to be believable. Had to cover everything from sales targets right the way through to personnel, to the 3-year, 5-year planning, the caliber of work that we were looking for, how we were going to get it. I spent a lot of time on it. As I said, it had to be believable to me. And once I was happy with that plan, sold the car, sold everything, put everything in the middle of the table, cashed all the chips, put it all in the middle and backed myself and went for it then. It's been a highly rewarding decision, one that I've never regretted. Equal measures of excitement and sheer bloody terror at times, but hugely rewarding. And there's nothing like it, running and working for myself.
Yeah, I love that idea. You have to sell it to yourself first, and only then can you sell it to other people.
Absolutely. I would often refer to a quote that I heard from the main man in Nike, Phil Knight, who said, fortune favors the brave, and to have bravery, you need to have belief. And once you have belief, that's irresistible. So, people want a part of belief, and you got to believe it yourself, or it just smells, it stinks. That's unbelievable,
Yeah, absolutely. People buy that as much as they buy the product.
For sure. Absolutely. By you, and they need to believe it. But yeah, that's the starting point. Have a believable plan. And once I could believe it myself, I knew it was bomb-proof and ready to go.
Yeah. Donnacha, what proved to be the greatest challenge to you in those early days?
A couple of things as I look back on it now. When I was leaving my director level role in the company I'd left to set up Sonica, I kind of went around to a number of clients and sort of garnished their support for the initial offering and what we were going to do or what I was going to do. And of course, they all cheered me on and thought it was a great idea. When it came to the bit to go to them then, once the cord was cut and there was no legacy issues with the other company, it very quickly became apparent that we were a startup and we, the kind of projects that I was working, or kind of the people that I wanted to work with and had previously worked with, are very risk averse. We were a startup. Yes. Not only the project managers, the architects, the quantity surveying firms, the professional teams that we work with, but also the clients. They're large, typically multinational outfits, and they're just risk averse. So it very quickly became apparent that a startup wasn't going to be getting tenders in for the type of projects that we knew we had not only the ability, but the experience to deliver. So that was a hugely frustrating initial couple of months where we just, I think the term might be bottom feeding, but it's not that. We just had to go and earn our stripes and put in the air miles and all of those analogies that are the same thing. Just get the credentials up, build up the credit rating, build up the repertoire, build up the portfolio from a standing start with nothing. And that was the initial challenge. But just we stuck with it and we knew, we go back to what I said about belief. We had belief that we knew we were going to get there. We knew that we weren't getting the caliber of projects that we wanted to get day one, but they would come. If we stayed on the path, stayed with the plan, then it would come, that we would see the rewards and the faith was rewarded then.
Yeah, and it does, so much of it comes down to credibility and having something to prove to people, yes, I can definitely do this. And it's true, especially, when you're going to new clients and they have existing relationships and all that kind of thing, you're trying to hack through all of that. But it all came good. It certainly came good. You've managed to secure some high-end, high-value contracts. You've got Hubspot, AIG, Deutsche Bank. So how do you now approach companies like this and how do you make sure that they choose Sonica?
Our whole mantra, right the way down to our business plan and our strategy, is to compel people to work with us. Where I'm sitting here, my new office in Skerries, is the physical representation of who we are. And from our very first interaction with any client, we're telling them that we're going to compel them to work with us. So if it's a tender situation, we go into the room, into the interview, to present our company, knowing the job better than the guy that's designed it, knowing it's certainly better than the competition that's going to come in before or after us. And the client will be compelled to work with us, not only our staff, but our knowledge, our energy, our enthusiasm. We want to get to the crux of what's important to them, what success looks like for them in the project. We do our research and we talk to them about how we're going to solve that problem. So we just compel people to do this. And I've always said, you put me in a room with my competitors on a level playing field, and who's walking out with a job, it's going to be me every time.
Yep.
And it's just down to that compelling nature. It's just goes back to the belief, but certainly the knowledge going in so well prepared into any of our interviews, knowing our subject matter, putting people and teams in front of clients that are believable, that they've confidence in. And as I said, you walk into my office here and people will want to work with me straight away because they just want a part of this. This is our showroom. It's brand new. It's like nothing that has ever been seen or done before, but it's the physical embodiment of who we are. We walk, we talk different to our competitors, to the traditional construction guys. And as I said, it's a compelling emotional connection that we forge day one. And once we have that, a huge part of our business then comes from repeat business, working with the same people. These are friendships that we develop over the course of a number of years. When that client expands, they lift the phone and they talk to us straight away. We set up a secondary support sister company of ours called Preempt to support our clients after we finish the fit out for them, because we felt that the relationships that we had with these people on, as I said, hugely, large sums of money been spent very quickly. The clients at every meeting, they're spending every euro like it's coming out of their own pocket. It is, but out of their own wallet. But we felt then that when we finished the job successfully and gave them a great experience, we'd left. And so now we've set up Preempt to come in then and do the facilities management for them. And there's a constant reassurance, a constant orange flag is in the background waving to them that Sonica are there. And the repeat business then follows. There is no other show in town when it comes to expanding that business or relocating that business, or even post-COVID now. A ton of our clients have come to us and said, we need to look and talk to you about what, returning to the office looks like. How can you help us with that? And all of that comes from these friendships that we've built with our clients on the repeat business model. Check our website there. There's a number of projects from Hubspot, from Huawei, from Charles River. These are clients that once we get them, once they have that initial Sonic experience, that's something they keep coming back for.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a brilliant idea to make sure that you're following up and leveraging that relationship and not allowing it to fall apart, that the quality of what you have created remains through the service that's provided afterwards, and it's positive. It's all positive.
I mean, the old adage, out of sight, out of mind, is very true in our business. It's very quickly for people to forget the hard work or the hard yards that were put in getting a project over the line when it's all done and finished. You've got to stay connected. It's hugely relationship driven, our business, as well as providing a high-end product and a high quality service. It's relationship driven at the core, and maintaining visibility and friendship with our clients is massive and a huge part of our success.
Yeah, so true. I've heard it said so many times, business is about relationships and maintaining those relationships. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Now, you mentioned there about innovation, and I have to say, having checked out the work that you have done, and indeed the unit in Skerries, or the premises in Skerries, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I really want to know, how do you ensure that you're ahead of the curve in terms of innovation, ideas, and knowing what customers want, even before they know themselves? Because they may not be experts in the latest trends.
I think at the core of what we do, we would have a number of pillars that are underpinned by our people and then underpinned by our technology and our systems. And year 5 of Sonica's creation, we went through stratospheric growth, but we realized there was inefficiencies in the organization, and we identified that there were certain things that we needed to knuckle down on and make efficient. So a huge part of that was investing heavily in our systems, not only our financial reporting systems, but how we manage our projects. So we operate very much at the highest end in construction management. All of our site and project managers are linked to a file management system called Procore. There is no paper. It's a paperless office. That is actually that is what we are. Nothing that we have is paper driven. We are operating on the cusp of that. But what we do, and we pay particular attention to, we have symbiotic relationships with a lot of our clients. A lot of our clients are working, they're leaders in their field, it'd be that technology, accountancy, pharmaceuticals, events, management, marketing. We learn from them, they from us, and anything that we see in a client, we constantly look to see how we're improving the offering. And that's a hard message to drive constantly to a high performing team, that you always are. I'm always looking for the next improvement, the next stage of what our improvement looks like. And even if we do have a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, there's always something there. Okay, maybe not a 10 out of 10, but there's always something there that we could have done better. So innovating constantly reassessing, constantly asking ourselves the question, was that good enough? Did we achieve what we set out to do there? What could we have done better? Even if it was an absolute slam dunk of a project, we would have post-match analysis meetings. The good, we celebrate the good as well as the bad, and we look to do it. But again, a huge part of it comes from our clients learning, paying attention to what they are looking to do. And the most recent and relevant example of that is COVID and the working from home. And a lot of what we were doing with many of our tech-based companies, where they were looking to deleverage their property portfolios and looking at bringing in remote working even before COVID was a thing. And a lot of these companies, the ones that are thriving and surviving now, are ones that have remote working established already. So when this happened, we were already operating at the cusp of that. So that's just a very relevant example of us learning from our clients and what they're seeing and taking that on board into our own organization and see how we can manipulate that and make that specific to ourselves. But constantly looking to evolve, constantly looking to challenge what it is that we're doing. I think our staff relish that. They're very high performing. I'm surrounded by 66 of the best and brightest in the market, but they love the fact that I'm not going to say nothing is ever good enough, but we can always do better. And that's our mantra here. What could we have done better there? Regardless of how good the experience was for ourselves and the client, there's always something that we could have improved. So yeah, it's high performing and it's high energy, but we all love it.
But it sounds like you've created an environment where they feel they can grow. So even when they are so high performing, that they can continue to grow at that level, which is really, it's difficult to find an environment like that that's positive, but pushing you to the limits all the time and beyond those limits. So fair play, well done on that.
Yeah, but I mean, we ask our staff as well. We're hugely engaged with them, And I mean, a ton of companies are using data now to manipulate their offerings for their customers. And we use data from our own staff to manipulate our offering to them and how we can make our systems and our processes better. So, I mean, I've often heard it said, your people are your best assets. That is so true. The knowledge that is held by your people is a company's greatest assets. Forget about your property, forget about your shiny offices. It's what's held between the ears of the people that work for you. That is where you make your money, and listening to what they have to say, taking their points of view on board. Maybe not everything, but certainly what they're saying and what they're communicating back to us, and knowing that they can say that in a constructive manner where people aren't going to lose the head or lose the rag or tell them to be silent. That's a culture here, and a huge part of our culture is continuous learning and development of that key drive to always be better.
Brilliant. And now, Donnacha, I really want to talk about First Landings in Skerries. It's your HQ, but it's also a state-of-the-art workspace for startups. So why Skerries, and what is it about the future of work that makes you think that this is the right time for a concept like First Landings?
I was very clear when you asked me 10 years ago when I was setting Sonica up, did I see myself having 30,000 square foot in Skerries? Probably not, if I'm honest. Okay. But with the evolution of where we are now, the company now is so much more than just a construction company. We're putting ourselves somewhere where we can impact a community. I'm from Skerries. I'm reared in Skerries. I have huge ties to the community in Skerries here. So if I'm going to open a state-of-the-art facility, why not open it in my hometown where I can have impact in the community where we operate, be that provision of jobs, labour, supporting the local sports clubs by vice sponsorship, etc. All of that is hugely important. So how can we impact the community that we operate in? So we've developed the office around, and once COVID restrictions are finally lifted, we have a phenomenal auditorium downstairs that not only is it going to be used for our own networking events, our own symposiums, our own thought leadership events, it will be open to the public to come, the under 12 medals, the arts, the music, the crafts, come in and be part of our community, be part of us and give back. So the concept for First Landings is, I suppose, it's a split personality. It is our showroom. It is a demonstration of the physical representation of who I am, who the company are, how we operate at the very, very pinnacle of our industry. But it's also very much involved in Skerries. I'm part of Skerries, and that was one of the huge deciding factors to locate it here. And what we're seeing as well is, suburban working is, COVID has triggered it. We've gone from maybe kind of sort of thinking about it to this is the reality, removing the commute from people's lives, having them within 15 minutes of the house is huge. We've seen that, again, go back to what I said about our clients and what they were doing with their own portfolios. We recognized that we didn't need to be in a city centre. We could have taken the same amount of space in Dublin 2 or Dublin 4. We didn't want to. We wanted to be out here where we could impact, where we could be visible, where we could be an asset. And the reaction of the team here They love it out here. The Riviera of the East Coast, as I tell anybody that would listen to me. But it's been a hugely positive experience, helped by the fact that we have a whiz-bang office for sure, but it's been a great move for us. We're delighted. We've been here since December this year. And again, can't wait for restrictions to lift and we can invite people through here and really show them what this is all about.
Brilliant. And I have to say, I've seen the virtual tour on the website and it is next level. Like, you've clearly brought commercial fit out to the next level, like in the innovation, the quality of it. You can see the new ideas. Now, to be honest, any of us who have had experience, even at the smallest domestic level, know that it can be stressful at the best of times to pull a project together. So how do you ensure that your team 100% represents everything Sonica stands for and gets the work done to the standards expected by you and the client in the agreed timeframe? It looks stressful for where we're standing. How do you manage it? How do you get it done?
The clue is in the question there, isn't it? You know, how do you remove the stress? That's what the offering is. So our clients, very few of them, if any, are construction-based companies. So they're accountants, marketing executives, tech companies, whatever. The portfolio is huge there. But what they have in common is that doing an office fit out, a relocation, an expansion is a stressful event for them. And they don't have the capability, which is why they come to people like me to do that. So what do we have to do is we have to remove the stress from that situation from them. And that starts by understanding what it is success looks like for them in that project or in that environment. And if that's, you know, a huge amount of financial information from you on a week to week, we can give you that. If we want to be at every meeting, we want to be very involved in the communication process, we can give you that. Some just don't want to know. They just want to open up the office on 16 weeks from time, give me the keys and I'm in. But understanding what's important to the client is the key thing that we would do. We would spend a lot of time upfront in the projects with the client team, the decision makers, the stakeholders, to understand what that success looks like for them. And we would tailor the solution for that. And as I said, a huge part of what we do as a business evolves from repeat business because we give people this experience where we remove the stress. We give them a very good experience through the process. If you look at the website, tons of the quotes and referrals that we've got from companies are based on what could have been a very stressful situation for us. You showed us how it could be enjoyable and efficient. And a lot of the work that we would do is in occupied buildings. It's just part of the narrative of what we do as office fit out experts. But understanding what is important to a client, what success looks like for them, spending time. And a lot of the time you might be pulling the information or dragging the information out of them, but spending the time with them up front and showing them continuity of the staff, that the same people are going to be on site, the same people are going to be in the meetings, that the people themselves, my team, are fully versed on what the requirements are. Nobody's showing up to a meeting unprepared. No one is showing up to a client debrief unprepared. My guys know the brief inside and out. And that just removes the stress. So we're very, very good at it, but we spend a lot of time honing the craft. But it's a people game. It's relationship driven. It's understanding what is important to people, spending the time up front, getting that information from them, and then making sure that they're delivering on that week to week. And my role is not, they don't want to see me on site. They don't want to see me at meetings. They want to see me making sure that the promises I give at day one are being maintained by my team. And that's all they care about. Just as long as we're delivering on what we said we were going to do at the start, that's the key thing. And it's working so far, so good.
It's interesting what you said there. Sometimes you have to pull the information out of people, but clearly you've seen the benefit of doing that. So you're not getting away from there unless you are very clear on what the needs are and what they require from you.
And it's different from every client. And you just got to realize that, you know, what's important to an accountancy firm is not important to a tech firm, is not important to a pharmaceutical firm, and just knowing what the differences are. But at the core, the same common denominator is they need the stress taken out so they can focus on what their job is, which is making chemicals or writing code or doing end-of-year report, whatever it is, that they don't want to hear or understand this. Our job is to remove the stress from them and deliver the project. So that's what it is. That's what we're very good at.
God, if anybody took anything from this conversation, just to understand that in any business relationship as a supplier, your job is to take the stress out of it, I think we'd be doing very well. So my last question, if you were starting out again and could do one thing differently, what would it be?
Get back in my time machine. What would I do differently? I think, look, I'm a really focused guy. I kind of know what I want to do and where I'm going and what I want the company to be doing. But I think what I was guilty of at the start was not listening to strong people. And I think now, knowing with the benefit of hindsight, I've hired some excellent killer people into the organization that I have to justify every decision, not every decision, but what I'm still very focused on where the company is going. I set the strategy, I set the tone for what we're doing, but I have to justify it. And I have very, very strong people in very important positions in the organization that aren't afraid to push back, aren't afraid to challenge me and make me stand over the decisions I make or the initiatives that I want to bring in. At the start, I'm not saying that I had yes men working for me. I did not. But for anybody, best thing you can do is surround yourself with people that are going to challenge you and make you justify your decisions. And I think if you can do that, the part where I said the belief part, that comes through. If people believe you and they can get in behind you, then everybody is behind you and the company is so much more efficient. So I spent the time in the last number of years surrounding myself with, as I said, really killer people that challenge me every day. And I'm learning from these people every day of the week because they put me on the spot and they ask me, why? Tell me how, or why not? And for me to justify that as the leader of the organization, it keeps me on my toes and keeps me honest. And, long may that continue.
What brilliant advice, Donnacha. Thank you so much. Sonica, definitely one to watch. We're delighted to have you here in Fingal. I know it's going to add huge value to the community, not just in Skerries, but all over Fingal and indeed Dublin as well. So well done on your success and continued success to you and the company.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We hope you enjoyed today's podcast episode brought to you by Local Enterprise Office Fingal. For more information and to keep up to date with our services, check out www.localenterprise.ie/Fingal and sign up to our newsletter.